So as some of you may know, I am part of a video collaboration project with a bunch of other content creators on YouTube, where we are going to be making a DC cinematic universe. Each of us are responsible for other projects and other characters, and I have had the privilege of taking on Batman. Every single person involved, I will put their channel in the description below so you can watch their projects and videos. If you want to know more information on this collaboration, you can head over to Cinema Hero's channel, where he posted a video about this, and he's also posted a couple of community posts. So before we get into the story, here's just a couple of details. The title for this film or project would be called Batman Hooded Injustice, and the castings for the characters in this film would be Richard Madden as Batman, Timothy Chalamet as Nightwing, Zoe Dutch as Batgirl, Ralph Fiennes as Alfred Pennyworth, Clancy Brown as Jim Gordon, and Toby Jones as Penguin. There would also be 2 features from characters in Mad Hatter, who would be played by Harry Melling, and the Joker, who would be played by Iwan Rheon. The film starts with a black and white scene where Bruce Wayne walks towards a boy who's crying. Curled up with his head against his knees and sobbing uncontrollably, Bruce sits next to the boy and places his suit jacket around the boy's shoulders. Oddly enough, that one moment of affection from a stranger calmed him down. Bruce says to this boy that something similar happened to him when he was his age. Everything seems lost now, but things will get better. The only color that comes from this scene is the boy's eyes, which are blue. As the camera pans out, Bruce and this boy are sitting in the middle of a carnival set up underneath a massive tent. This boy was Dick Grayson. Fast forward many years later, Batman and Batgirl are entering a very old house on the outskirts of Gotham. The outside looks dungy and abandoned, but as they enter, it's been decorated very specifically. The house is made to look like the world of Alice in Wonderland. As they make their way through this haunted house of Wonderland, the Mad Hatter continuously calls out for Alice, whom he hopes his future Alice to be Batgirl. Every corridor and every hall, there are henchmen waiting for them. Every henchman is wearing a brainwashing hat or mask. Kill the bat and subdue the girl, that's the plan. Of course, this plan doesn't work out in the Hatter's favor, for he is forever to remain without a true Alice. However, Batman notices something very strange during the battle, something that surprised him and threw him off. One of the Hatter's brainwashed men was wearing a scuffed up Red Hood mask. As Gordon is called in to set up a crime scene around the house and arrest the men, some going to Arkham and some going to Blackgate, Batman receives the identity of the man who was wearing the Red Hood mask. Anthony Bresci, a low-level mob boss who tried to make a name for himself in the city, but never made it past 1 year. He was tied to the death of Dick Grayson's parents, but he wasn't the trigger man, so he never did any hard time. But even now, as a low-level thug, Batman was intrigued. Not much about him, but more about the mask. Batman and Gordon discuss the Red Hood mask, about how they haven't been seen in years and the fact that Batman is suspicious. Batman tells Batgirl to stay and assist with the arrest while he disappears to learn more information. Entering Anthony Bresci's name into his Batmobile computer and accessing his satellite databases, he finds his current address in hopes to discover something of value. Batman isn't sure what he's looking for, but he knows something is off. Arriving at and searching Anthony's disgusting and run-down apartment, Batman finds a note in the space between the kitchen counter and the fridge. A note that has been previously wet and left on the floor to dry. Some of the words have been smudged by the liquid, and even some of the note has been ripped, so some words are missing. The letter says, "Meet at the FA," then underneath it, WAR, and then underneath that, 2 a.m. signed TZ. Returning to the Batcave, Batman throws the note through the computer's analyzer. The computer will be able to identify the writing that has been smudged and ruined from previous wet substances and what the full note would have said if it wasn't ripped. When walking towards the computer, Dick Grayson stands around eating a bowl of food. mouthful, and asking Bruce how the night has been. "It's only 1:30 in the morning. You're back pretty early," Dick says. Bruce ignores Dick. Bruce and Dick aren't on the best of terms at the moment, as Dick is moving out to go to university in Bloodhaven for policing. Becoming a detective has been a passion of his over the years. Bruce feels betrayed as he believes he taught Dick to understand that they are on the right side of justice and due process. If your name isn't Jim Gordon, there is a good chance police work means nothing, or you can't be trusted. To try and create conversation, Dick even tries to tell Bruce about this new suit that he plans on wearing out in the field. A new suit that's going to upgrade him from the Robin suit. And Bruce is having none of it. He is completely disinterested. As Bruce continues to ignore Dick or give him one-word answers, the computer reveals what the note fully said. He deletes the computer's history of what he had analyzed since he wants no one to know what he's looking for. Batman returns to the Batmobile and leaves. And at this point, Dick is getting really frustrated with Bruce, and Alfred realizes that, so you would get a scene where Dick and Alfred would have a discussion about Bruce's behavior. Batman arrives at the location of the note about 20 minutes to 2 a.m. Originally, this note said, "Meet at the Falcone warehouse, 2 a.m., signed TZ. This old Falcone warehouse dates back to the 40s, once used to receive shipments of metal and lumber. This warehouse hasn't been used in generations and would be a very convenient spot to hide a mystery. As Batman enters the warehouse, he sees upwards of 300 to 400 people inside wearing Red Hood masks. One man stands amongst them and gives a speech about how the Red Hood gang has been gone a long time, but returns when needed. Batman knows there's a lot more than meets the eye. The Red Hood gang was a prestigious gang who took jobs for other crime bosses to do their dirty work. Dirty work that can't be pinned to anyone as their identity is completely concealed. Moving forward from this discovery, the Red Hood gang leaves the warehouse and begins an assault on Gotham City, trashing small businesses, robbing banks, and causing any other kind of criminal activity possible. Batman, of course, leaps into action and does what he can on his own, and even though he didn't ask for their help, Batgirl and Robin show up for assistance. Batman eventually leaves the fight against the Red Hoods to Robin and Batgirl so that he can continue his investigation. Robin knows there is something going on that Batman isn't telling him, and he wants to find out what it is. With Gordon leading a vast amount of police against the Red Hoods in the city and Batgirl assisting, Batman goes to Arkham Asylum, which is now on high alert with strict defense systems just in case the Red Hood gang decides to attack the facility. Batman's visit to Arkham is to have a discussion with the one man he knows had affiliations with the Red Hood gang. Considering the day Batman first met the Joker, it was a Red Hood mask he was wearing when he fell into the chemical vat at Ace Chemicals. Hoping to get information that could shed more light on what is happening, Batman sits in an interrogation room with the Joker where the conversation is met with answers hidden behind multiple layers of confusion. Throughout the conversation, Joker essentially tells Batman to train his focus on the Penguin. That is where his answers will be received. Batman tracks his villains at all times through all manners of espionage, so he requests Alfred to give him details on what Penguin has done all night while the city has been attacked by the Red Hood gang. Alfred gives Batman 4 locations he's been to in the span of 30 minutes. Every location he enters, however, he seems to be accompanied by a red hooded bodyguard. As Batman runs off to solve this case, Robin spies on Batman and follows him. Batman races to these locations to find that all of these places were homes of either ex-politicians within Gotham, dirty ex-cops, or criminals who once held a certain level of authority within certain mob gangs. At all 4 of these locations, all 4 people have been killed within the span of 30 minutes. These are not people Batman would shed any tears for, but he needs to know what Penguin's game is. Batman uses his augmented reality detective mode to analyze the death scenes of these people, noticing that Penguin wasn't alone when killing his targets. Doing his detective work, he also finds that many of these people have had many run-ins with Penguin before and knew much about his business at the time of their friendships. After enough information at each location, Batman finally figures out the situation at hand. Penguin has been one of the last mobsters in Gotham that has survived with his businesses since Batman has entered the picture. Every year it gets worse. More good cops are entering Gotham's GCPD, better politicians who believe in a fair judicial system, aka Harvey Dent, and Batman becoming harder to fend off and avoid. With Batman running the mob out of Gotham, Penguin fears that he will be next. So because of that, Penguin chooses to tie up loose ends. Loose ends who potentially have even looser tongues. And the Red Hood gang? Simply used as a distraction. Penguin used the Red Hood gang in hopes that Gotham would be trained on that while he can go out and kill somewhat important people without being noticed. He certainly underestimates Batman. After learning all this information, Batman wants to try one more thing. In one of the murder victims' homes he's in right now, Batman grabs a nearby laptop which captured audio playback, since all audio devices capture sound whether it's recording or not. As he hacks into its audio system, the owner of this house opens the door and is greeted by a man. Almost sounding happy but nervous to see this person, the homeowner says, "Tony Zuko? To what do I owe the pleasure of a 3 a.m. visit?" The TZ initials on the note that Batman found in Anthony Bressy's apartment makes much more sense now, but wasn't overly shocking to Batman at the same time. As the audio continues, Tony tells the person he has someone who wishes to speak with him, which ends up being Penguin walking in, and the rest is history. Robin, who has been spying on Batman's progress, can't help his surprise and his anger, and he yells out, "Tony Zuko?" Batman wasn't surprised that Robin was following him, but Robin insists on Batman telling him everything that's going on. Tony Zuko is of course the known murderer of Dick Grayson's parents, but he's been off the radar for nearly 10 years. And now that it's confirmed that Tony Zuko has been working with the Penguin, one has to wonder if Penguin had something to do with the Graysons' death. Batman calmly and sternly explains the situation in a few sentences, but tells Robin he doesn't want him around when confronting Penguin because he doesn't want Robin to react in a rash way, nor does he want him doing something he may regret towards his parents' killer. With Robin's temper flaring and the fact they haven't been on good standings lately, he leaves and decides to track down Penguin and Zuko on his own. Batman knows he can no longer control Robin. He watches him from afar and analyzes Robin's actions for his plan of attack. Robin enters the Iceberg Lounge through a sewage system and makes his way to Tony Zuko through stealth. Batman decides to go in loud and move through all the henchmen that Penguin has guarding his club. Batman eventually reaches Penguin and starts throwing him around and beating him mercilessly, recording him at the same time in the anticipation he will admit to the crimes of the 4 murders and the planned attack on Gotham from the Red Hood gang, which he does do. Penguin tries to make his case sound better by saying that after me, there will be others that continue to do what I had to do. Batman doesn't care or listen, and after knocking Penguin out cold and tying him up for the police, he must get to Robin before he potentially goes too far with Zuko. But before leaving Penguin's office, Batman decides to take a quick look around. Batman finds an old photo that we can't see, but was interesting enough to take with him. Robin, on the other hand, has encountered Zuko, and after a brief conversation with a Robin who's only seeing red, By the time Batman gets there, Zuko looks nearly unrecognizable. His face bloody and swelling up from how brutal Robin's punches are. In his very stoic manner, Batman tries to center Robin and tells him not to go down this road. Robin knows he's right and stops, but he turns to Batman and tells him, "I'm done." He walks away from Batman, and hours later, we see him with his stuff packed away in a car as he drives away from Wayne Manor. Bruce looks out of one of his mansion windows as Dick drives away. After what seems to be a few seconds of sadness, he turns and walks away from the window, as father and son have now gone their separate ways. Bruce returns to the Batcave to get ready for another night. While preparing, Alfred has a conversation with Bruce about opening up and talking about how this is making him feel, in which Bruce moves past it and basically says it no longer matters. Dick has gone his way, and his life is for him to lead. And during that line that Bruce has about Dick leading his own life, you would get another black and white scene of Dick now in his new apartment in Bloodhaven, sitting at his workbench. The only color in that scene is once again his eyes, in which his suit also happens to be blue as well, as he sits there and creates the new symbol for his suit, the Nightwing symbol. Bruce then opens an image on the Bat computer and tells Alfred this is what matters. It's the photo Batman found in Penguin's office. It's a photo taken maybe 30 years ago. In this picture is a younger Oswald Cobblepot, Carmine Falcone, Sal Maroni, an unidentified man holding a Red Hood mask, Bruce Wayne's grandfather, and another unidentified man holding an owl mask by his waist. Bruce looks intensely at his computer, determined to know what his grandfather is doing in the photo and the mystery of the owl mask. As for an end credit scene, this film would feature one. Returning from patrol one night with Batgirl, the computer gets a satellite ping. Alfred opens the satellite imagery, and it shows Superman and Wonder Woman shaking hands. Batman tracks these heroes and has a huge meta-human database with the goal to learn more about these people, what their abilities are, and how dangerous they could potentially be to the human race. Batman takes off his cowl and has a suspicious look on his face, in which he tells Alfred to add it to the metahuman files. So there you go, everyone. That is the first Batman project for this DCCU YouTube collaboration. So now I would ask you to head over to Affleck's channel to check out the Superman Man of Tomorrow pitch he has, which is technically the beginning of part 1 of this DCCU. Every single day until the 12th, there's going to be another project that is released. So for tomorrow, get ready for some kids' Green Lantern Heart of Stone. Once again, everyone, I will throw everybody's channel in the description below so you can all stay up to date with this DCCU. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you all enjoyed this Batman film idea, and I will see you all again for another one on August 11th.